The problem in today's world is guys still have responsibility to family and their wife, but they don't have any authority. And when you're in a position where you have responsibility without any authority, then that's a position of slavery.
Wow. That's very well articulated.
Yeah. And
fantastic.
How we got there
yeah.
is, just something that took several decades of, I think, society softening, men becoming weaker, testosterone levels lowering, women being sold this bill of goods by toxic feminism, where they've been told that, you don't need no man, or you need a man like a fish needs a bicycle sort of thing. And they've been told to put off having families, getting married, finding a top shelf sort of virtuous guy, and, contributing to family and society in that way in their 20s. And now you have a very, very large contingent of women in their late 30s or even 40s. You see them out there on dating sites where they're looking for their equal, where they've got their 3 or 4 degrees, they're framed in mahogany on their wall, they make great money, well into 6 figures, and they just can't find a guy that wants to be with them. But what they've done is they basically turned themselves into men. They went and looked at what they thought was attractive, and because toxic feminism sold them that lie, that you have to go and do all these things, then they come to the realization at some point where they hit this wall and they're like, wow, guys don't want me, or I'm having a hard time finding a guy that I can see as
but
my
look
equal.
at the numbers. I've also seen statistics that say that the guys over 30 who are not married, that are, over 5'10" or 5'11" or something like that, it's like maybe 1/4% or something. You're literally trying to find something that doesn't exist at that point in your life. So
yeah, that's one of the problems. Is they
impossible.
have this overly entitled sense of worth, where they think that there's this term that was coined. I remember I was at this dinner party once about 10 or 15 years ago. I was single at the time, and one of the guy's wives, said to me, like, "Why are you single, Rich? Like, you got the 6 sixes." And I said to her, "Well, what's that? I'd never heard of that."
Wait, you said 6 sixes?
6 sixes, yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for this. I have no idea what's coming.
Okay, so the 6 sixes, as as the gals portrayed, and I think these women, they were probably early 40s at the time. The typical gals, with the wine glasses and their hair and makeup all done, with a couple of guys sitting around in the corner, and the guys are going on about happy wife, happy life sort of thing. And the 6 sixes were purportedly 6 feet tall, 600 horsepower cars, 600 horsepower cars, 6-figure income, 6-pack abs, 6 inches in the pants, and I think the last one was 6 months out of a relationship. Right. So it's
that last one's hard to find.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, here's the thing. Like, even if you use the 6 foot tall metric, and we know that women are looking for taller guys. I mean, like, even if, you look at dating apps, they almost always explicitly state looking for a tall guy, or must be over 6 foot. In some cases, even 6'2". If you Google the stats, the amount of men in North America that are over 6'2" is less than, I think, 4%. The amount of men that are over 6 foot, I think, is less than something like 15%. The average height for a guy today is about 5'8", 5'9". So when the vast majority of the female population sets that very high standard, and then you set aside the other 5 sixes, which seem to be very important to them as well, you start running into problems where there's all these single ladies today, right? So there's a lot of very complex issues sort of intermingling and colliding in the sexual marketplace today when it comes to relationships and love.
Rich, what problems, what mistakes do young entrepreneurs make when they're trying to get into a relationship that you see, that you're working with guys?
Very simple. She's pretty. She touched my pee-pee. I'm going to date her or marry her or invite her into my life.
Sold.
Right? Like, guys are very, very simple, right? It's like, oh, right. She's giving me attention. She's responding to my texts.
Yeah.
She'll go out with me and have dinner sort of thing. But women are a lot more complex than that. And men are never taught, the reality of what women actually respond to, right? We're just taught to shut up, get your head down, get to work, make the money, provide for family, pay your taxes, all that good stuff. Cut your lawn, just be a good man sort of thing, right? So guys don't really understand the reality of what women are actually about. So one of the big problems that I see a lot of guys run into, and I've sort of distilled it down to this phrase, would chase excellence, not women, is guys, especially when they get into longer term type of relationships, that's when you see guys put on weight. They might start to get lazy. One of the main complaints that you hear from a lot of married women is, I just don't see him the same way as I did before. And if you get lazy in a relationship, you don't sort of move up the corporate ladder. You don't improve yourself. You don't maintain a certain standard of health and the optics of masculinity and strength. It's not uncommon for a lot of married guys to be sitting around with Cheeto dust on their chin or their shirt, watching sports for hours,
But that's
during
Homer
weeknights.
Simpson. That's what every man is
Exactly.
portrayed these days. It's gross.
And that's one of the lies that society has sold us, is just sit around. As long as you get married and take your vows, you can just sit around and do nothing, right? With
And
your
that's
pastime and your
bullshit.
evening. It's total bullshit. Guys have to chase excellence. The burden of performance is on men. Men are success objects. This is one of the things that
He's getting me fired up, Gino. Like I'm about to do push-ups right now.
So this is one of the things that Dr. Warren Farrell talked about in his book. He has a book called The Myth of Male Power. And guys are viewed as success objects to women. So you must maintain a certain degree of the pursuit of excellence in your life as a guy if you want to keep a woman or keep women around you in your life. Women, on the other hand, are beauty objects to men. Men know that women don't generally share their pot of gold with them, right? So there's a small contingent of guys that are like, oh, I'm looking for a sugar mama sort of thing. But women typically marry across and up. So because they're hypergamous, they want to find the guy that's the bigger, better deal than him. So very, very common for a CTO making $250,000 a year to wife up Becky the hairdresser making $40,000 a year, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.